Greetings, YouTube. Apparently, Robert Heinlein's house in Colorado Springs is for sale, and for a mere $650,000, you could own a piece of science fiction history. It also appears that around 10 years ago, there was some extensive remodeling done, so much of the original house is gone. But one thing he did add in the house, back in 1961, was a bomb shelter, which is really kind of cool, even if it was never used, thankfully. I read a lot of fiction when I was younger, even though today I read nothing but nonfiction, and Robert Heinlein played a major part in that selection. Particularly his book, The Moon is a Harsh Mistress, had a profound effect on me. I enjoyed his very can-do, stripped-down kind of an attitude, his every man should be a multitasker, that he felt that specialization was for insects, which is a nice idea. He had a list once of things that every person should know how to do, and I know how to do some of them. I failed miserably at fulfilling that list, however. He had a very old-school attitude. His female characters were never much more than misogynistic, pale comparisons to real women. But his heroes were manly. His juvenile heroes in particular were easy to identify with when you were in that age bracket. I enjoyed that. It kind of saddens me sometimes that people attach a political atmosphere to his writings that I think that he frankly didn't attach. He's become a poster child in many ways for certain political movements, when the beauty of his writing was that, especially for the juvenile work, it appealed to the males of that age bracket. It was easy to project yourself into being those characters, and he presented a future that, if not necessarily rosy, was at least positive. Because even though things didn't always work out perfectly, man survived, kept moving forward, and explored the world, the universe at large. And I like that. It was more positive than a lot of the things that were available to me as a reading material in the 70s and the 80s, when frankly, living under the shadow of the Cold War wasn't a lot of fun. Having been born in 1964, I know exactly what it was to be part of the Cold War, to know in your heart that the world was going to end in a rain of nuclear fire. I mean, the fear itself was in Robert Heinlein. He built a bomb shelter. He didn't do that just for fun. He really thought he'd have to use it. Thankfully, he didn't, and we all made it through that era. And now that we've made it through the Bush administration, I actually have hope once again that we won't die in a rain of nuclear fire. That maybe someday nuclear weapons will become curiosities, things you look at in a museum. But Robert Heinlein, he was one of the great ones. Not perfect. He was flawed. He was human. By gosh and by golly, he wrote a rousing story a lot of the time. And I loved his work, and I'm glad I read it. And I'd really love to see his house.